Today we're going to review how to simplify algebraic expressions with variables using order of operations. For today's lesson, you can find these problems in your interactive study guide on page 10. So a quick review of order of operations. The first thing you solve are any equations inside parentheses. Next, you simplify the exponents. After this, you would solve for multiplication and division. Now remember that this is from left to right, so if division comes first, you divide first. If multiplication comes first, you're going to multiply first. The last step would be to do the addition or subtraction. Again, if subtraction comes first, you're going to do the subtraction first, and etc. with addition. There are three types of terms in an expression. We'll be using these words a lot. A constant is a number by itself, such as -5 or 4 or a half or a decimal number. These are numbers that do not have any other value next to them, so their value is constant. 4 is always worth 4. A variable is a letter, and it's used to represent some unknown value. We'll see X often, sometimes Y, it could be A, it could be any letter of the alphabet. A coefficient is a number that's found next to the variable. A coefficient does not include the variable. So on the term 5x, 5 is the coefficient. On the term -7x, -7 is the coefficient. On the term 2/3 a, 2/3 is the coefficient. When a term has a coefficient and a variable, we multiply the coefficient times the variable. For example, 7 times a. 7a is the same as saying 7 times 4 in this situation, or 28. 22b means 22 times b, or 22 times 3. Let's look at question number 1. The first thing we need to do is copy carefully the problem from the book. So it says 6c divided by 15. First thing we're going to do is substitute. 6 times 5 divided by 15. Then we multiply 30 divided by 15 and solve, and we get an answer of 2. So we're going to substitute and solve using order of operations. Next equation, again, carefully copy the equation. Substitute the value for a. In this case, we get 32 plus 5 times 3. Now, in order of operations, we're going to multiply before we add. So we get 32 plus 15, and the answer is 47. On this next equation, we have parentheses. So to solve this, first we're going to substitute 27 times 3 minus, parentheses, 16 minus 3 times 5. Now, we substituted according to the values given at the top of the page. The next step is to multiply, because we always multiply before we subtract. If we do the parentheses first, we're going to need to multiply 3 times 5 before we can subtract. So if we multiply 27 times 3, we get 81 minus, parentheses, 16 minus 15. Continue to solve the parentheses, and we get 81 minus 1, and the answer is 80. This next equation is a fraction with a BC on the top divided by a plus 2. First step again is to substitute. When we're solving with fractions or ratios, first we solve the top, then we solve the bottom, then we divide. So if we solve the top, we get 35 over 3 plus 2. The bottom is 35 over 5. And we solve with division, and we get an answer of 7. So first simplify the numerator, then simplify the denominator, then divide. In this one, we copy the equation, 2b minus 4a. Substitute, we get 2 times 7 minus 4 times 3. Coefficients are multiplied by the variable value. Next, we simplify, and we get 14 minus 12. Notice that we multiply before we subtract. Order of operations tells us that we multiply before we subtract. 14 minus 12 equals 2.